Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business psychology and marketing and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Jim Hall, who's a 20-year veteran of the banking in Colorado, having worked for First Bank and retiring as president of the boulder market in 2011. He went on to start, invest, and consult with several small businesses in the craft brewing, mobile canning, restaurant, and real estate markets. He recently partnered with his longtime friend and co-founder to start Tally Street, address the lack of affordable and easy to integrate customer analytics for B2B small and mid-sized businesses. Tally Street partners with accounting professionals to uncover the customer stories hiding inside their accounting data. Jim, how are you doing? And take a minute and say hello and let us know anything I missed.
No, that's great, Ted. Thank you for having me. Nice to see you and hear you, and looking forward to the discussion today. I think there's a lot of great things we can share for the business people, accountants, and audience members out there that are in this world that we live in.
Let's get started. So first off, what I like to ask people is, has there ever been a business or a life decision even that if you could change it, you would? And if you would change it, what would you change?
Oh, great question. I'm definitely a human and I'm definitely fallible. So I've made many business and life decisions that I wish I could go back and redo. So picking out one would be a little difficult, but I guess the one business, I guess it's a business and a life decision that I would change if I could was later in my career, and it's a story about the grass isn't always greener on the other side, kind of a story.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I was offered the opportunity to have a promotion within the company, go to a larger market, work with a different team, and it meant more prestige, a little more money, that kind of a thing. It was definitely a move up in my career, but there was some reasons not to, and one of which was my fear of sort of the cultural differences within the markets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of I call myself a light blue collar guy. I'm not really a laborer, but I'm not really a white collar executive kind of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind getting my hands dirty a little bit, but I definitely am not the guy to have fix your car or run your lawnmower.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my skill set. But again, if I could go back and change that decision, I guess my decision would have passed on that opportunity and waited until my career advanced a little further. I got a little more comfortable in my role, a little more familiar with what I was doing as a bank president. And that would have changed both my life and my business. I probably would still be in banking had I not made that move at the time. But at the time, that was the beginning of sort of a cascading of events that led me to be disillusioned and unhappy in the banking world, and really sparked my interest in being an entrepreneur, starting my own thing. I've always had the bug to do that, just never knew what or why or when. And the opportunity presented itself. I left the bank and I started half dozen or more companies, several of which are still going strong. And then recently started Tally Street with my longtime friend and co-founder, Brian.
Okay. Well, very cool. Very cool. So this may be the same thing, but a lot of times it's not. If there's one business or life decision that's worked out super positive for you, it's one of those things, where you look at your life before that and your life after that, and it's like a dividing point or an inflection type point. You have one of those?
Sure. I guess for me, it would be my decision to move to Colorado from the Midwest. I grew up in St. Louis, went to school in Missouri, met my wife in Missouri, and right after college, just said, you know what, I want to go to Denver and go to Colorado and start working in banking. And so I moved out here, married my wife a year later, and we've never looked back. So that been a decision that I wholeheartedly would do again, and has really completely changed the direction of my life, because there was the Missouri component of my life, which I cherish very much, and then the adult Denver, Colorado aspect of my life, which I have enjoyed immensely, the lifestyle and the people here in Colorado.
And just as full disclosure, I'm in a real similar situation to you in that my wife and I moved here about 11 years ago in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Just to let everybody know we're in Colorado. And that is one of my points, or that is a point like that for me as well. I mean, everything is the way it was before that, and everything's the way it is now after that. So yeah, I get that one. So the next one I want to touch on is, I believe every entrepreneur, business owner runs into things that they've never handled before, they don't want to handle, whatever it is, and they get stuck. Mm-hmm. So, it can be a little thing like writer's block. It can be a big thing like, a major purchase or a major move into a new market or something like that. And they get stuck and they just don't advance on it. Mm-hmm. They don't deal with it. Do you have any tips, techniques, methods that you use if you ever do get in that situation? What do you do to get unstuck?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that happens in everybody's business and personal life, where you just feel stuck or trapped or not moving forward in a direction that you want to go. For me, I tend to back up and rise up. So I tend to back up and rise up or rise above. So, take a step back, get out of the weeds a little bit, and then rise to if you're at a 10,000 foot level, go to 15. If you're at 15, go to 30, and just really ask questions like, why am I doing this? What's the outcome I hope to achieve? Mm-hmm. Am I thinking about this wrong? Is this, how will this benefit somebody besides myself? Those kinds of questions lead me to re-explore and understand really why I'm doing it. And sometimes it's just motivational, right? So it just says, okay, I need to get this done. This is going to impact these people in a positive way. I need to just buckle down and get this done. It just kind of recharges my energy mm-hmm. level.
Yeah.
But also just taking a step back and just saying, okay, stop banging your head against the wall, take a step back. There's a door immediately to your left, go through it, versus hitting the wall. So,
no, that is great. Absolutely. So lastly, and this is it relates back to the first when we were talking, but if sitting where you are now, knowing what you've learned, the experiences that you've had, if you had to do it all over again, would you do anything different? And what would you do?
If I had to start over again, what would I do? I guess I've always, when I was just coming out of college, I had two paths I could go down. One was, there's many paths, obviously, but two that were right in front of me. One was mm-hmm. to move to New York and become an investment banker. And the other was to come to Colorado and be a community banker. And I chose the latter. I chose to work in my community, be involved with the small businesses and financial people mm-hmm. in my community, the accountants, the mayors, the councils, etc. Really be active, involved in my community, as opposed to going to New York. And I've always wondered what would have happened if I'd have done that for a few years, and if that mm-hmm. would have been, how my life would have been different, all those kinds of things. So. Not that I would necessarily, I have any regrets. I don't have any regrets at all. It would just be interesting, almost like Back to the Future, to go back in the car and hop out in 1992 and take the train to New York versus take the train to Denver.
Yeah, because that is, for people that don't know, that is a very different environment, very different type of banking. And just New York. I mean, New York compared to Colorado by itself is hugely different.
Absolutely. And back in the day, that was at the time of Boiler Room and all those kinds of, movies like that, where it was just like a sweatshop and they were just dialing for dollars and all those kinds of things, So that didn't excite me at all. But I was very, very heavily recruited down that path by several large firms at the time. And it was almost like the big accounting firms back in the day, the big 6 or big 5, big 7, whatever number you want to pick.
Whatever number there were.
Yeah, whatever it is, where they would hire 10,000 undergrads, work their fingers to the bone for 3 to 5 years, knowing that 90% would never make partner. I just felt like that was the path. And I just didn't want that kind of cutthroat competition, bloodthirsty type environment, where I just didn't think I'd thrive in that. Coming from the Midwest, I'm more of I got to think about things. I want to be able to give back. And I just didn't feel like that was a good fit for me. But I'm still, I would be very curious to see my, 40-year-old or 50-year-old self having taken that path.
Going down that path instead of this one. Yeah, no, and I understand that. I mean, Interesting question. And I have a similar one myself, not in that industry, but yes, I know what you're talking about. Well, super. That's all I have today. Really appreciate your time. It's time to wrap up. For being here, answering these questions, being open with everybody. Is there anything that, any parting comments or an offer or anything that you have that might be able to help the listeners that you'd like to share?
Sure. A couple of points I would just want to make to your listeners. One of the driving forces and one of the reasons why we do what we do at Tally Street is that we believe that accountants are more than penny counters, pencil pushers, reconcilers, journal entry people. We believe that they're well beyond task oriented, and we believe that they have the skill set and the connections and the drive to become true advisors, consultants, and partners of their business owner firm leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons we started Tally Street was to give them the tools to help them do some additional analytics to provide additional value to their clients and customers. So we firmly believe that there's a lot of uncovered customer stories hiding in the accounting data that the accounting department works so hard to keep accurate, up to date, and ready for use at any moment. And we help uncover those stories by using our analytics to help drive additional value. So we believe that the accounting function, or the F&A function, instead of being considered historically a cost center to be minimized and get as much out of it as you can, but only do what's needed for tax or for reporting purposes, and then keep the cost really low. Instead of being a cost center, be viewed as a value driver or a value contributor to the organizations that they're involved with, and really help them understand the growth potential of the business, or where there's risk, and have the data to drive those decisions and to really strategically think about the company's growth. So that's sort of a couple of just philosophical reasons why we do what we do. And we typically offer a 30-day free trial for Tally Street at our website, tallystreet.com. Takes about 10 seconds to connect to your accounting software, QuickBooks, Xero, or Sage Intacct today, more coming soon. But we're going to offer your listeners a special 60-day trial. So they have a full 2 months to analyze the tool, put it in place at their place of business or with their clients or their business, and then we can talk about subscriptions after that. And the best way to get in touch with me is just from the website. There's a contact button on there that comes right to me, or they can email me directly, jim@tallystreet.com, TALLY street.com.
Okay, super. And I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below. This video or this audio is posted so people can just click and go there. So thanks again, Jim. Really appreciate your time. Thanks everybody for listening in. Have a very safe and productive week, and be the very, very best at whatever you are. Until next time, Tad Stevens, Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.